Soon, Kaliba will rule the world.
It's Kamala. It is not hard.
Beyonce, or at least her music, and former President Obama set to endorse.
Welcome to this week's Wacky Moments of Leftist Extremism. The media is a cult that keeps contradicting what it had previously just said, all in order to protect leftists. First, Joe was mentally very fit, and showing video otherwise was...
The White House says there's a cheap fake problem.
Cheap fakes.
Cheap fake. Cheap fake.
Then there was the debate debacle, the low polls. Suddenly the media wants a coup. Joe's gotta go.
Consider taking a different course now. We're still far from our convention, and there is time for this party to figure out a different way forward if he will allow us to do that.
Joe finally leaves. The Walking Dead announces that he's dropping out from the race, and he campaigns for Harris from the Oval Office, which is kind of legally questionable.
Kamala Harris, she's experienced, she's tough, she's capable.
So now the media that wanted him out says he's like...
George Washington.
George Washington.
George Washington, who also stepped away from the presidency.
George Washington, although he could have stayed in power.
Because we all remember fondly when George Washington stepped down from office and then offered everybody a tasty ice cream.
Aide telling me it was both joyful and bittersweet, and perhaps, Savannah, fittingly for this president, the White House served everyone ice cream, a Biden favorite.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was Chuckles the birthday clown with the ice cream, not George Washington. But surely we do remember Washington leaving office after George Clooney said he didn't feel good about the Hollywood elite giving him money anymore.
We're talking 200 years later about George Washington. I don't know how long we'll talk about Joe Biden doing this.
Not long, because there's a lot of heavy lifting to do for this agenda. The media must now move on and push and praise a new leftist.
And then suddenly, a crack open of hope. One little heartbeat of hope. Kamala Harris raising her hand and saying, I'll take care of this.
Well, maybe not so much Harris as much as the big donors in the leftist media coronation machine.
This will go down in history as the most successful political effort over a 48-hour period in the history of the United States.
Beyonce, or at least her music, and former President Obama set to endorse.
There has never been an effort that secured the nomination this quickly, money this quickly.
Now the media enters the exciting cult of Kamala. Now see, I do remember a thing about that cult from my childhood.
Kaliba. Mukti degi Kaliba.
No, sorry, that's the cult of Kali Ma. That cult is different because it demands a bloody sacrifice.
And an act of sacrifice like what Joe Biden did today should put in motion many more high-profile acts of sacrifice.
Like your wallet at the grocery store or paying for a mortgage. Now, both cults could destroy your heart and soul, but that's the cult of Kali Ma, which may be why the media insists that you have to say Kamala perfectly.
Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. You're fired.
That was all yesterday. And again, it's Kamala. It is not hard.
Right. It's easy. Comma. La. That's all you gotta do. Yeah, look, it's so intentional. It's so obvious. It's othering. It is trying to make her seem like she's some bizarre, not one of us.
Really? How is Kamala any more othering than Kamala? I mean, this is certainly worthy of a very long CNN panel segment.
All right, our panel is back. Karen, you got something to say there?
Just, the intentionality with which, and almost the glee on his face when he mispronounces her name.
We got a mash of all the times he does this. Let's watch this because I want Karen to pick up out of this too because it's intentional and it does matter, I think. Watch.
It could be deliberate. It also might not be. I think that this is the kind of thing that plays really well among people who are already going to vote for Harris.
Which is really why it's being discussed on CNN, because everything must be pro-Harris on all leftist media all the time. You want to hold her responsible for the border? Just because the media held her up as a border czar after Joe handed her the issue doesn't mean that they now want to call her a border czar.
Meantime, Vice President and border czar Kamala Harris facing some backlash.
What he said about Harris and immigration was not true. She was never appointed border czar.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar by President Biden.
People are going to have to counter the misinformation. You already hear folks talking about the border czar. She wasn't the border czar.
President Biden tapped Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, to be the border czar.
Now, she wasn't the border czar. That's what Republicans labeled her.
They were very
critical of Kamala Harris, especially in her role as border czar.
Now what she's up against is folks lying about her border record, calling her a border czar.
And you wouldn't ever want to call Kamala, a liberal.
We've seen over the last 24 hours a line of attack coming from Republicans, calling her a San Francisco liberal.
One thing I also really love is right now the big attack for her, in addition to the dirty things, are she's too liberal, she's too liberal. That is a very rich comment on her right now.
Yeah, that's rich. Just because in 2019, GovTrack ranked Harris the most liberal of all senators, beating out Bernie and Liz Warren. And wait, where did that go? Hey, it's magically gone from the internet. It's been replaced. Well, that's strange, isn't it? Kind of sudden. The left feels it's probably best to ignore that. So embrace the censorship and drink that media Kool-Aid and remember nothing about Kamala's past. I mean, it's kind of like
Cast down and forgotten. Soon, Kaliba will rule the world.
And again, it's Kamala. It is not hard.
Right, it's easy. Kamala.
Censoring the past, hiding the truth, and pushing a leftist agenda. It's never hard for the leftist media. I'm Eric Shiner for MRC-TV, asking you not to drink the media Kool-Aid.
Don't drink it,
Please head over to the MRC homepage, click on that donate button, visit MRCTV.org for the latest in videos, information, and entertainment. Please like, share, and subscribe to these videos on the social media platforms where you can actually see us. And we'll be back next week with another look at the crazy cult of leftist media madness.
You will become a true believer.
I want to invite you as my guest on a very special, once-in-a-lifetime, 7-day post-election cruise in the Caribbean. It's going to be a blast.